Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful of Shark Tank, said this about the Trump economy after a deal is done with China, and apparently a deal is being negotiated as we speak, number 28.
So Bessett's doing a hell of a good job here. I give him 100 out of 100, but we're not finished yet. And by the way, if you want the index of the market, we have recovered everything since April 3rd and then some. So listen, keep going, but China is a special situation. When we get that deal done, it'll become the hallmark for all the other countries. And I think where we're going is a 10 and 10 reciprocal on everybody. Call it a VAT tax. That's really what's going on here. Consumption tax in America, but you can't sell that to Congress, so you call it a tariff.
And Trump said negotiating with the UK in many ways is tougher than negotiating with China, number 36.
The European Union is in many ways nastier than China, okay? And we've just started with them. Oh, they'll come down a lot. You watch. We have all the cards. They treated us very unfairly. They sell us 13 million cars. We sell them none. They sell us their agricultural products. We sell them virtually none. They don't take our products. That gives us all the cards, and very unfair. So they're going to have to pay more for health care, and we're going to have to pay less. That's all it is.
He anticipates what he called a total reset with China, number 22.
In addition, yesterday we achieved a total reset with China after productive talks in Geneva. Both sides now agreed to reduce the tariffs imposed after April 2nd to 10% for 90 days as negotiators continue on the largest structural issues. And I want to tell you that a couple of things. First of all, that doesn't include the tariffs that are already on, that are our tariffs, and it doesn't include tariffs on cars, steel, aluminum, things such as that, or tariffs that may be imposed on pharmaceuticals, because we want to bring the pharmaceutical businesses back to the United States, and they're already starting to come back now based on tariffs.
As you know, President Trump is touring the Middle East, meeting with a bunch of people, and he said he just signed a strategic economic partnership, as he put it, with Saudi Arabia. It includes a series of deals on energy, refineries, defense, mining, space-based agreements that could amount to $600 billion and could, emphasize could, create up to 2 million U.S. jobs, Trump said today. Now, I've told you about the polls that show Donald Trump is in deep, deep trouble, deeply unpopular. And I also told you not to believe him. Some of the most accurate polls are the ones that the mainstream media ignores, including that of the Rasmussen poll. It was very accurate, by the way, in 2024. Let me digress and say something about that poll. As you know, I briefly ran for president. The idea was not to displace Donald Trump, but to talk about some issues that I thought even our party was not emphasizing enough, if at all. Most notably, school choice. Trump is a proponent of school choice, but I don't think people realize how bad things are K through 12, which is one of the reasons I ran. The other one, however, was to talk about the spending on the part of both Republicans and Democrats. You don't run and win elections by promising to take things away from people. People talk about how big government is, but once you put a specific program to be chopped in front of them, they say, well, not that one, not that one, not that one. So often it's just, don't cut me, don't cut thee, cut the other fellow behind the tree. So I talked about a amendment to the Constitution that would fix spending to a certain percentage of the GDP, with exceptions perhaps for war and for natural disaster. Well, I didn't make the first debate in Milwaukee. I had to have at least 3 different polls where I was at 1% or better. We submitted 3 polls where I was at 1% or better. They called me, they meaning Ronna McDaniel, and said, I'm sorry, you're no longer eligible. The deadline is passed. One of your polls can't be used. I said, which one? She said, Rasmussen. I said, why? She said, well, Rasmussen is tied to the Trump campaign, and the rules stipulate that no poll tied to any candidate can be used. And the rules do say that. But Rasmussen put out a tweet right after this and said, we're not tied to Donald Trump campaign. There's no reason why Larry Elder can't use us as one of his 3 polls. Anyway, Rasmussen, one of the most accurate in 2024. They have Donald Trump up 52% approval rating, which is high. And more people now think we're on track than not on track. He said the percentage of people who say the U.S. is headed in the right direction has not been this high in 20 years. So people are down with Donald Trump's agenda, despite what you're hearing on ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, Hee-Haw, and the rest of the so-called legacy media.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.